If you have experienced a childhood cancer journey or are going through a childhood cancer journey and you are in fear of travelling abroad on holiday, then this video is for you. In this video, it's going to be slightly different to our normal videos because if you've been following our journey for a while now, you will know that we have been through a pretty rough road with our son who got diagnosed with AML leukemia from the age of 9 months. And a burning question of mine when we were in our darkest times of what does our future look like and what does it look like to take a child post-cancer away to an abroad holiday. Now, when you go through a journey like this, it is something that in the darkest moments through your child's treatment, it is so nice to be able to hopefully one day look towards the future. And back then I had a burning question of what it actually looks like. Is it possible? What do we need to think about? And is it a good idea? And I tried to research this back in the day when we were going through Teddy's treatment, and there was nothing on the internet to explain this from a very transparent and raw perspective. Now, in this video, we're going to answer all of the questions in terms of what it takes us as the Bridge family to finally be able to take our son away on holiday safely, correctly, and all the different pieces of information that we need to consider. So without further ado, that's what's coming up in this video. But first, what is our plan and where are we going? Now, this is something that we have been so excited to tell you guys. If you followed our channel for a while now, you will know that we've actually taken Teddy abroad a few times, but they've only been to France. And 2 of those times that we've been to France are to my mum's villa, where we had the comfort and safety of our family surrounding us. And the second time we drove to Paris to take him to Disneyland. All of these options were pretty safe for us and allowed the sort of nerves and the apprehension and anxiety of actually taking our son away post-transplant and post-cancer treatment that little bit less daunting because we had the support of our family and it was in a safe place. Whereas this time, yes, it is daunting, but the most exciting trip to date. And it's not only exciting because we're going to a different country that none of us have been to, which is Portugal, but it is also incredibly exciting for us as the Bridge family. As you may know, we've mentioned it in the past, that it is potentially part of our long-term plan to move abroad and go in search for that slower pace, that more relaxed and carefree life, I guess. And so we are going out to Portugal to not only have a holiday, but we are also going out there to understand, firstly, whether we like Portugal, secondly, whether we like it as a potential holiday destination or whether we could see it as a home destination in the future, and thirdly, what the property prices look like out there. Now, as I've said in many other videos, it's our dream of ours to take on a piece of land and renovate it to be a forever home. And we have so many questions and so many things we need to find out regarding whether Portugal is that place. And by going out there and traveling around it in a motorhome, which is exactly what we're doing, hopefully we'll be able to answer those questions. Now, when it comes to actually the process of taking our son Teddy, who got diagnosed with AML leukemia at the age of 9 months and spent 6 months in hospital, which involved 3 rounds of chemotherapy and unfortunately, but fortunately, whichever way you want to look at it, a full stem cell transplant. He is now over 2 years post-transplant and we are slowly leaving that world of cancer behind us and entering a world where we can look at taking these educated leaps and educated risks about going abroad to different foreign countries. Now, this is music to our ears. As you know, that myself and Katie have always loved to travel. So to be able to get back out there and go and see the world again, and more importantly, go and show Teddy the world, is something that is honestly a dream come true. But this also comes at a cost of time and effort in terms of the preparation we have to do prior to actually leaving to go to any foreign country. And so that is what I'm about to take you guys through to put anyone at ease that is going through a cancer journey or has been through a cancer journey recently with their child, in terms of the worries that we feel and experience as a family, but also the effort and time that we put in prior to the trip, just to make sure that it puts us as much at ease as possible. Now, if you're watching this video, it is probably because you have the same fears that we experience in regards to actually leaving the safe place that is your home, where you know where all the medications are, you know the hospitals are nice and close, and you also know if anything goes wrong, it is easily rectifiable. And it's very easy to get stuck in this cancer world where you live in fear of cancer, you live in fear of relapse, you live in fear of things going wrong, and most importantly, you live in fear of your child falling ill again. Now, as time goes past, we've experienced that those emotions, the further you get post-treatment, the less sensitive you are to them, which is what leads us to potentially thinking about going abroad again, which is a really exciting concept. And it is something that you should look forward to. And I really hope this video sheds a bit of light on that information that I once upon a time wished that I knew, to know that it is actually possible. As long as you do all of your prep work beforehand, then subject to them falling ill whilst you're away, which is the number one fear, then it all goes smoothly, and you should never let cancer win and control your life. Now, firstly, when I talk about fear and the feelings as a parent in terms of taking your child abroad, it comes with many different questions and many different worries and fears that can override your body. And I'm talking of things like the obvious: what happens if your child falls ill when you're in a foreign country? Are foreign country hospitals going to be able to deal with those problems? What happens if you lose the medication in the luggage? What about travel insurance? Are we covered? All of these different things are questions in which we ask ourselves, and now we've been on a few trips, and this being our biggest trip, we have slowly had to answer as we have sort of explored and navigated our way through Teddy's road to recovery, and now feel confident enough to take him abroad. Now, I would be a liar in saying that we go away on holidays now with ease, because that's not true. Like, the apprehension of something going wrong, I think, will always be there, and again, it's only time that will help rectify that. But if this information can help you guys actually feel confident in knowing that you do have the ability and capabilities of actually living a normal life and going on a holiday with your child that's had cancer treatment, then my job is done. Now, one of the number one things that we always do is research the local hospital, whichever destination you choose to go on holiday to. It is so important that you do your due diligence and actually understand where your closest hospital is to where you're staying. Like us, we're about to go to Portugal, and as I said, we're going to be renting a motorhome and traveling all around the north of Portugal to actually understand whether we like different areas, if there's certain areas in which we like or prefer or don't like. But also that puts us in a more vulnerable situation, as we aren't going to be staying right next to a hospital. But what it does mean is that we just need to make sure that we've done the research in terms of when we travel around, where are the local hospitals that will be surrounding us, and that way, you know, if anything did go wrong, you've already got it written down, which is the best hospital to go to. And that just helps put you at ease, knowing that you are covered, rather than have to Google this information when and if something does go wrong. Another important piece of information that we have done when we have gone to France, and we are in the process of doing when we go to Portugal, is having all of his medical history translated into the language of the country you're going to. Now, this is easily done online. You can use many different websites that actually have them translated within a click of a button. And it is so important that you do that, purely because you don't want to have to try and translate all of these things whilst your child is potentially ill or needs seeing to by a professional. So having all of this information done beforehand is an absolute must before you go on holiday. Also, by having things like Google Translate uploaded onto your phone allows you to be able to communicate with people, whether it be finding the nearest hospital or calling for an ambulance or what have you. When you get to hospitals, I would imagine a lot of the doctors do speak English, but if you're not English and from a different country and you speak a different language, then Google Translate is always top of our priority list in being able to effectively communicate with the doctors and nurses, or just people in general. Now, when it comes to medication, a lot of children that have cancer treatment or transplants and things like that come out of hospital with a hell of a lot of medication. It goes without saying that you will be taking all of your medication that your child would need with you, but we always say it's best to take more than you need. Teddy is only on 2 medications now, which is hydrocortisone and penicillin, and we take the medication that he is using plus a spare one. And it sounds really obvious, but what we do with those medications is we split them into 2 bags, so we know that if a bag ever got lost or stolen, then we know we've got his medications also in another bag. But also, accidents happen, they're both in glass bottles, so if they fall out the fridge and smash, all of a sudden we've got the problem of trying to find his medication in a foreign country, which is a scenario which we don't ever want to go down. So by having 2 separate bags, but also 2 separate loads of his medication, is just a key point for us when we travel abroad. To be completely transparent as well, we didn't go away abroad for at least a year post-transplant, because the thought of it was too much. And now, this isn't to say that you can't do that, but also Teddy came out of transplant with a new immune system, and so to jump on a plane and take that risk of infection wasn't at the top of our priority list, which is why we bought a caravan and did all of our travels within the UK in the safety of our own sort of home environment on wheels.
while. So one of the things that I've just been sorting out is looking at Gatwick Airport special assistance lane stuff. So travelling through like security and things like that. Teddy has an access card which has the queuing symbol on it, which basically means we can have special assistance in terms of skipping horrendous like security queues and things like that. This just usually allows us to go through a more sort of accessible queue with a lot less people, and we can take our time a bit more when going through the actual security scanning process. That's mainly sort of to allow for things like we have to get all of his medicine out so they can assess that, and we're carrying needles and things through for him. We have to make sure that we've got prescriptions and the letter from, for example, his endocrinology team confirming that his injections are for him and why he needs those, so that we don't sort of get challenged at the security gates and we can go through with the medications that we need. Another thing that I've just sorted out is medical alert cards. So as well as Teddy's access card, I have ordered 2 medical alert cards. I've not ordered these before because Teddy's always got a responsible adult with him, whether that be myself or Scott or another family member, who know of his medical needs and conditions. But it's been something that's been on my mind for a while now, that if Teddy were to end up in an accident, car accident, whatever it may be, and myself or his accompanying adult is also compromised and can't share that information with medical teams, the alert cards are there for any sort of assistance or medical teams, ambulance crews, whoever it might be. Members of the public, for example, can see that there are medical conditions that need to be factored into his care. So the first one is for his blood requirements. So the medical alert card says post-transplant blood requirements. Teddy is at risk of any transfusion-related graft versus host disease. It just shows that he has special requirements. So it has his blood group on there and the fact that any blood products that are given to him need to be CMV negative and irradiated bloods, and that any platelet transfusions must be HLA matched. The second medical card is for his adrenal insufficiency, so it just alerts that he does have adrenal insufficiency, and on the back of the card in the notes it just shows that his emergency injection kit will be in his bag, so anybody that's responding to an emergency will know to look for a bag that would either be with myself or Teddy or whoever's with him. So yeah, just those cards to alert to any medical issues.
As you know, when it comes to flying, getting on a plane is a risk of infection. I don't know if it's a myth or a general rule of thumb, but this actually happened to us when we were booking our flights through British Airways and it came to booking our seats. Your seat position is something that we always consider, and we always try to sit in the middle of the plane away from the toilets, because anyone that is unwell tends to sit by a toilet or walks down the plane and hangs out by the toilet ready to use said toilet. So when speaking to a member of staff at British Airways recently when booking our seats, they always advise anyone that is immune compromised to sit in the middle of the plane as far away from the toilets as you possibly can, to again help with that risk of infection. All of this information is only my opinion. It isn't anything that I'm saying you must do this, and if you do this, this and this, you'll go away successfully, because that's an impossible task for me to say. All this information is just trying to help guide and prove to you that it is possible, and you should look forward to going away on holiday, because if you can't go on holiday and go and see the world, then what's life? Now this brings me on to a personal fear and issue of mine with our son Teddy, and this will be the case with every parent that has a child that has had cancer treatment, because post-cancer treatment comes at many costs and there are many side effects, and unfortunately these children come away from their hospital and their treatment with medical issues. Now our son Teddy suffers with an adrenal insufficiency where he doesn't produce his own cortisol if he finds himself in a critical situation where he breaks his leg or car crash or anything like this. His body doesn't produce cortisol to control his adrenaline levels, which could be fatal. Now we give him this medication a day to keep his body topped up with the right amount of cortisol levels, but in the long term hoping that Teddy's body will start to actually produce his own cortisol and we can come off that medication. Currently, we've recently had tests and this is not the case. He is still running really flat and we still have to give him this medication. But where I'm going with this is that it's not only extreme situations like crashes, breakages of bones or anything like that. Sickness bugs are a huge thing, because if our son Teddy is sick and continues to vomit, then we have no other choice, because we can't get his medication in orally. We have no choice but to go to a hospital and have it put in intravenously. What does this look like abroad? Exactly what it looks like at home. As long as you have his hospital records all written up and translated, then nothing changes. We have checked this with our endocrinology team, saying that what does it look like if he goes into adrenal shock in an abroad country? And our endocrinology nurse said it is recognised globally and the treatment plan is exactly the same as it would be in the UK. So to conclude this point, yes, it does bring a load of other fears, but if you do have a child with other problems, just do your research with the required department that your child had treatment in and just ask them the question and be led by a professional, because we got the all clear about going away 12 months post-transplant. And also our endocrinology team had said, absolutely go, you've got nothing to worry about. You know what the protocol is if Teddy goes into adrenal shock, in which we have to give him an emergency injection of hydrocortisone into his leg and then get him to hospital to have it done intravenously. It's as simple as that. We do exactly the same here in the UK as we would abroad. So put yourself at ease, do your research and know that any sort of side problems that come post-cancer treatment, you still can go away if you are guided and led by the professional and they give you the green light. Do not let fear stop you going away. You just have to make sure you're all on the same page in terms of the protocol of what to do if that scenario happened. Another point in which is absolutely crucial to make is that when it comes to travel insurance, this is an absolute necessity. It doesn't matter how far or close you are post-cancer treatment. To have travel insurance for your child when you go abroad is absolutely essential, whether they fall ill whilst you go away or they relapse, as you will probably have to cover many hospital costs if anything did go wrong. Now, there are specific cancer insurance companies which are fantastic. It requires you to obviously put in all of your child's medical history to the finest detail, which is absolutely amazing, because you know by filling in absolutely everything into the insurance companies that is specifically for cancer, they will understand it. There's not any to and fro in terms of what does this mean, what's this terminology. They are specifically made to deal with children and people that have had cancer. So I highly advise going to a cancer specific travel insurance company and getting it through them. Is it more expensive? Yes, it is, unfortunately. We've just paid around about £88 for a week in Portugal for Teddy, but that's absolutely small fry, knowing that we are completely covered if anything does go wrong, and knowing that your costs are covered if you do go in. You would treat it like a normal hospital. If you go to the hospital in the UK, then we're taken to hospital in Portugal, and knowing that we have the right travel insurance to cover the costs to do exactly that, so we don't miss anything. If you are looking for travel insurance for your child or for yourself, then head over to the description below. That we have researched 2 travel insurance companies that we were going to use. We ended up using one of them because it was a better price, but I'm not saying use these. This isn't an ad. It is purely just a starting point for you guys that are looking for travel insurance, and we've used these in the past and they were successful. Now, I know this video is very different to what we usually do, but I think this is crucial for people to understand that the fear of going away is a real thing, and you're not wrong in feeling that. And we still feel that 2 years post Teddy's treatment. But the bottom line is, if your child is well enough, if you have done the right amount of research, if you have been guided by professionals and they give you the green light to go, then the world is out there to go and see, and you should have confidence in your child and go. This is not to say that there isn't going to be any problems that will occur. If they do occur, then at least you know that you have done the right research and prepared enough for you to deal with those said scenarios, rather than sit at home in fear of the if, buts and maybes, which potentially may not happen. So this is only going to be a short video, as it's something that's been in the back of my mind that I've wanted to put out there for a while. Apologies if people found this boring, but hopefully there are some people out there that are looking for a video like this, because I still to this day cannot find one that allows to give a bit of guidance, a bit of help and a bit of hope to parents that have been through childhood cancer and want to start exploring abroad. Now, that's just a quick disclaimer. None of what I've said previously is my advice. It is purely my opinion. So please don't take anything that I have said as gospel, because as parents that have had a child that have gone through childhood cancer, you guys are the ones to make that decision. And I do not want anything I've said to lead you in any decision making. But what I will advise you to do is, if it is purely fear that is holding you back, break those barriers, take that leap of faith and go and explore the world and go and get on that plane in confidence, knowing that you can go and live again as a normal family. I hope I've managed to answer a few questions for you guys. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a big fat thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. A huge thank you to our Life with the Bridges family members, and remember, live for today, as tomorrow is never promised. And make sure you tune in for our Portugal video as we go away in 4 days' time, and I cannot wait. I absolutely cannot wait. But more information on that in the next video. We'll catch you in the next one, chaps.